running out of moves. You're not going to be able to attack that pawn enough. Maybe you're going to have to play b6 and create chaos on this side of the board. So for that reason, you shouldn't snap take things. You have to evaluate what trades are good and bad.
So you can
now we get knight c4, we get bishop c5, inviting the knight to take the bishop. Now normally, giving up a knight for a bishop without a good reason is not recommended. In this case, there are multiple good reasons to make this trade. Number one, you're no longer isolated. In fact, your pawns are together, which is what I just said, right? I know what I'm doing, I'm prefacing with and then, intertwining the current position. Listen, it's part of the job. But something else happens. Very small change. But for my beginners and my intermediate players, listen up. You got to evaluate what else changes in the position. First of all, this pawn moved, which means this rook is open if the knight moves in the future. Right? See? And this is open. So maybe the queen can transfer out this way. That is how the board changes when trades happen. But white also sees how the board changes when trades happen. White immediately goes for that weakness. And you can't just take that because you lose your queen. Losing a queen is bad. That's the only thing you learned from this video? Mazel tov. Queen to d6. Out of the pin, defending the pawn. White goes back to h3 because white doesn't want to get the bishop taken. Now, rook ae8. Basically just taking a moment to get the only piece that has not moved yet to join the party. All right, get over there. Stop being a wallflower, right? Is that what that's called? Wallflower? I don't know. It's like the person who doesn't dance at the party. This video is all over the place. Queen to d2. And now bishop to b4. Essentially, Frank Marshall is saying, okay, I'm going to pin the knight to the queen, and then I'm going to play d4. And you're going to have a problem, right? So that's why we get bishop takes f6, an immediate reaction by white. But the thing is, that pawn trade way back when solidified the center, and now we see the point. Now the rook is going to get involved. Now white plays rook to d1. Okay? Queen to c5. Increasing the pressure, you want to go d4. You say, why? Well, Levy, you just said he was going to go d4. Why didn't he do it? Because in chess, my favorite concepts, danger levels. The queen is worth as much as a queen. So you can avoid a trade, or rather, you can avoid material loss by attacking something of equal value. So bishop takes will result in knight takes queen. You say, well, that's easy. I just move my queen. Yeah, but then white takes with check, because the king is also worth more than the queen, and then I move the queen out of the way. So that is why he didn't rush. He plays queen c5. Stay patient, y'all. Some of y'all played chess like you're, late for a business meeting. Queen to e2, bishop takes c3, pawn takes c3, queen c3, and now white plays rook takes d5. Nice idea here, utilizing this pin on the undefended rook on e8. It's one of the reasons you don't snap take. In fact, if he takes here, it's white to play and win in 3 moves. Check. Now black has only 1 move, and now the bishop comes in as the hero. You have to go to the corner, and you get mated. How quickly a chess game can turn, right? I'm winning. And all of a sudden, you want to throw your computer out the window. So rook takes d5, and Frank Marshall plays knight d4. Nice move, transferring the knight in. Remember, the queen has to stay pinning. So the queen moves to h5. Doesn't stay pinning, but, it attacks the rook here. If the queen had gone here, this would have put some pressure on the knight. Here, there's a cool move for black. Rook f4. Guarding the knight by attacking the queen, and you can't take because I would fork you. So that's kind of a cool trick. But queen to h5 using the concept of danger levels, and black plays rook f8. So now, again, we see the benefit of fe6 because the doubled rook's on the f-file pressuring here. White plays rook to e5. Now here, Frank Marshall has a choice between 2 wins. Win number 1 is impressive. It's, it's a normal win. It's a nice clean conversion of the position. But win number 2 gets gold coins showered on the board and gets a Gotham Chess YouTube video made about the game 109 years later. Because I believe this game was played in 1912. I will be extremely embarrassed that this game was not played in 1912. It was played in 1912. I just checked my other monitor. So, clearly Frank Marshall was thinking about making it into a chess YouTube channel 109 years from then, in 1912, when he played this game. So, the routine win is the very natural rook takes f2. Why is that winning? Because you're threatening to take, and if they take you, you have a back rank infiltration. Because this rook covers the f1 square. It's called X-ray, right? It's not this because that hangs a queen, but it's this. And it doesn't matter who blocks, whether it's the queen or the rook or this rook, it's mate. But Frank Marshall, like I said, wanted to end up in a YouTube video and played the move rook to h6. That attacks the queen. You say, what's so good about that? The queen just moves. Let's say it just goes to g5. Well, here Frank Marshall shows you the reason. Kabam! Now, Frank Marshall, trust me, if he had the option of crazy win, routine win number 1 and crazy win number 2, he's going to go crazy win number 2. Here's the point. You can't take, because I fork everybody, frankly. I mean, my horse just forks everybody. So, we got rook to c5, and Levitsky must have thought, okay, I'm going to attack the queen. Queen's going to move. Maybe I can play rook c7, and this, and this. And if you'd like to pause here and find the move, although it was on the thumbnail, please feel free to do so. I'm going to take a sip of my seltzer. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the coolest moves of all time. I present to you queen to g3. I mean, what more to say? What more to say? Queen to g3, white resigns, mic drop, game over. Here's why. If h takes g3, you've now opened up my rook's vision to the h-file, and knight to e2 is mate. If f takes g3, you've opened up my rook's vision to your rook, knight e2, king h1, and rook f1 is mate. Okay? Queen takes. Potentially the funniest one. Knight to e2, king to h1, knight takes, and there is a double pin situation. King to g1, knight to e2 check, king h1, and you know, probably this. And we have an endgame where I have an extra knight, which I trust that they will win. And then last but not least, if you don't take, like, I don't know, you play like here, for example, then I would play knight to e2 check. And by the way, you can't mate me. Queen h2 is not mate because I'm defending you from the other side. Knight to e2, or potentially the cooler one, knight to f3. When have we ever seen something like that? King to h1 and rook h2 is checkmate. Queen h2 is one move more because the rook and the knight would be integral to the attack. I mean, have you ever seen something like that? No, you haven't. That's why you're happy that you clicked on this video, and that is why 10 minutes later you are, well, no,